CIBC's Aventura program has been around for quite a while, offering Canadians a way to earn and redeem points, primarily for travel. However, it really hasn't reached the same level of popularity as heavy hitters such as Aeroplan or American Express. Why? Well, it's a little bit more niche, with fewer transfer partners and a more limited ecosystem. But that doesn't mean it can't deliver value. Hey guys, welcome back to the CreditVerse channel. If you're new here, my name is Alion, and if you're looking to make the most out of your travel rewards, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into the CIBC Aventura lineup. 4 cards designed to suit everyone, from casual spenders all the way up to luxury travelers. Starting out from the basic Aventura Visa and going all the way up into the premium Aventura Visa Infinite and Infinite Privileges, we're going to look at the bonuses, earn rates, and key perks for each card, as well as a comprehensive overview on how to use your points. So let's get started. We're going to kick things off with the base Aventura Visa. This card comes with a welcome bonus, which is just a number of points you earn on the card, usually after you spend a certain amount within a certain period of time. For the Aventura Visa, you can earn up to 10,000 Aventura points, 7,500 after you make your first purchase in the first 4 months, and 2,500 when you complete all 5 of these activities within the first 60 days of approval. Honestly, I'm not sure if this is really worth the time, but hey, free points are free points. Moving into the earn rate, this is just how much you can earn on the card with your everyday spend, so on groceries, meals, fueling up, etc. You earn 1 Aventura point for every dollar spent at gas stations, as well as on electric vehicle charging, groceries, drugstores, as well as through the CIBC travel portal. You also earn 1 point for every $2 spent everywhere else, which isn't great, but it's really not the worst thing we've seen in Canada. Of course, being an entry-level card with a $0 annual fee, it comes with a pretty lean set of perks. A new one they've just added is a 12-month Skip Plus free trial where you link your CIBC card and your Skip Plus account. They currently have a welcome offer going where you get $15 off your first 3 orders of over $30, and you also get $0 delivery on all Skip orders for the entire year. CIBC values these perks at $600 per year. I think you have to be an absolute takeout fiend to save that much, but I think it's still a pretty solid free perk, which will save you about $100 per year. Another thing you get is a standard insurance package on some of your purchases, which just includes 90-day protection on purchase security if your new purchase is stolen or, for example, it gets broken. You also get 10 cents per liter off when you link and use your Journey Rewards card to fill up at Pioneer, Fast Gas, Chevron, and Ultramar stations. Overall, this card is pretty okay as a starter card. Of course, nothing to really knock your socks off, but if you are already in the CIBC ecosystem, it's not a terrible pickup. Next up is the Aventura Visa Gold, which I think ends up being the sweet spot for this entire lineup. For the bonus, you can get 35,000 Aventura points, 15,000 when you make your first purchase, and an additional 20,000 when you spend $3,000 within the first 120 days. The earn rate also becomes a little bit better here. You get 2 points for every dollar spent on travel through CIBC's travel portal, 1.5 points for every dollar spent on gas, grocery, on drugstores, and 1 point for every dollar spent everywhere else. Now it does come with a $120 annual fee, which is waived for the first year, and a $15,000 minimum income requirement, which again I don't think is too hard to get over. Now in addition to the benefits on the previous tier, you also get 4 complimentary visits to lounges within the Visa Airport Companion program. These lounges are pretty nice, and there's a few like the West Elevation Lounge in Calgary, and certain Maple Leaf lounges that end up being pretty cool, and otherwise are a little challenging to get into, without flying in premium cabins like business or first class. You also get Nexus for free with this card, which makes traveling to the US pretty easy, and if you already haven't signed up, I would definitely recommend doing so if you're crossing the border quite frequently. CIBC did a bit of a Control-C, Control-V situation here with the Visa Infinite flavor of this card. The bonus is the exact same. You get that 35,000 points, 15,000 when you make your first purchase, and 20,000 when you spend $3,000 within the first 4 months. The earn rate ends up being 2 points for every dollar spent on travel through the CIBC travel portal, 1.5 points for every dollar spent at eligible gas stations, vehicle charging, grocery stores, and at drugstores, and 1 point for every dollar spent anywhere else. Where you do see a bit of a difference with this card compared to the Aventura Gold is in the perks and benefits section. Of course, you get all the same perks as the Gold, like Skip Plus, the 4 visits to lounges within the Visa Airport Companion program, and a Nexus credit every 4 years, but the key difference ends up being the amount of travel insurance you get. You get the standard out-of-province emergency medical travel insurance, as well as flight delay, bag insurance, trip cancellation interruption insurance, auto rental coverage. There's a couple others I'm just going to put here because otherwise I'll be reading this for the next 30 seconds. One thing to mention here though is that you do get that mobile device insurance worth up to $1,000, which is becoming a mainstay on most credit cards in Canada, and that's definitely something that I'm happy to see. Now, like the previous variant, it also comes with a rebate on the annual fee in the first year. So why not get this card instead of just the Gold variant? Well, the Visa Infinite has a minimum income requirement of $60,000 of personal income or $100,000 of household income. The Gold only has a $15,000 household income limit, which is much easier to get. The Aventura Visa Infinite Privilege, the flagship of the CIBC fleet, cranks things up quite a bit relative to some of the other cards. The bonus on this card stands at a whopping 80,000 Aventura points. You get 25,000 points when you spend $3,000 in the first 4 months, But if you do spend over $6,000 in those first 4 months, you get an additional 25,000 points, meaning basically you get 50,000 points if you spend $6,000 in the first 4 months. There's also an anniversary bonus worth 30,000 Aventura points when you spend $25,000 in the first year. This basically means you have to hold the card for 2 years, so you do need to pay that annual fee twice, but there's a couple of things you could do to reduce that down just a little bit. We'll talk about that in just a second, so stay tuned. This card also enjoys the strongest earn rate of the bunch, earning 3 points per dollar spent on the CIBC travel portal, 2 points for every dollar spent dining, on entertainment, transportation, gas, EV charging, and groceries, and 1.25 points for every dollar spent anywhere else. It's hard to really fault these earn rates. They end up being quite strong and on par with pretty much all the other premium cards in Canada. Now it comes in with a $499 annual fee, so you best believe it needs to have some perks to really make up for it. Just to mention before we get into the actual perks of the card, you'll get a rebate of $139 if you have a CIBC Smart Plus checking account. Now this card has monthly fees of about $30, but this can be waived if you hold $6,000 in the account every single day. I'm not entirely sure it's worth it to keep $6,000 in this account every single day for an entire year, just to save on the monthly fee. But I guess if you do have an emergency fund, for example, that you're not really keeping in a savings account for some reason, you might just put it in an account like this, park it there, and save on some annual fees. You also have a $200 annual travel credit on travel booked through the CIBC portal. This also lowers the annual fee down just a little bit, and it makes it a little bit easier to swallow every single year. Next up is something I found a little bit disappointing. You only get 6 passes to lounges as part of the Visa Airport Companion program, which is really interesting because if you're thinking about it, 6 passes for a very, very heavy traveler doesn't really make a lot of sense. I know that this is standard for all the Visa Infinite Privilege cards, but I don't really think it's ideal, especially for something that you're really putting to be the top of the market. Also, something to mention here, you do need $150,000 of personal income or $200,000 of household income in order to qualify for this card. All the same jazz of the Skip Plus rebate and the Nexus rebate still come with this card, of course. You do also get 30% off base rates if you do them with Avis or budget car rental. Again, I'm not entirely sure this ends up being cheaper than just booking through something like Costco anyways, but it could be something you want to explore when you're booking a rental car in the future. Now, as a Visa Infinite Privilege card, of course, the travel coverage is top tier. It has $5 million of out-of-province medical coverage, as well as coverage for flight and baggage delays. Pretty much just all the things I talked of the Visa Infinite card, just cranked up a little bit more. For example, that mobile device insurance gets cranked up to $1,500 as opposed to just $8,000, which is again just a nice thing to have for a card that costs $500 every single year. Now that we've gone through all the perks and benefits of these cards, as well as how you can earn a bunch of points, let's talk about how you can use them. As points are only really worth something if you can actually redeem them for things that are valuable to you. And the Aventura program certainly has something for everyone, albeit at varying values. Now before you get your hopes up too much, there are no transfer partners here unlike Amex or Avion, so you are stuck within the program. We're kind of going to do this in worst to best value fashion, starting off with statement credit. A statement credit is just a rebate on your credit card statement for your everyday non-travel related spend. Now for the CIBC Aventura, this is at 0.63 cents per point, meaning you redeem 10,000 points for $63 off your statement. And if you're planning on doing this, we suggest just getting a cashback card instead, as that's probably going to end up being better value anyway. Next up is gift cards and merchandise. I'd also say this is almost always not a good idea. As for merchandise, you're looking for rates at about 0.5 cents per point, meaning it's usually actually going to be better to just redeem for a statement credit and get what you wanted anyways, as that's going to get you 0.63 cents per point. I will admit most gift cards give you a slightly higher valuation of 0.71 cents per point, meaning 10,000 Aventura points will get you $71 of value. Again, it's not ideal, but it isn't really that awful if you don't need to redeem your rewards and you don't have any upcoming travel plans. Now similar to RBC, you can also redeem Aventura points for statement credits on CIBC products. For example, your line of credit, TFSA, RRSP, and mortgage are all things you can redeem your points for. Again, the valuation is better here at about 0.83 cents per point, but you do need to have at least 12,000 points to start redeeming here. Of course, being a travel card, you're going to get much better value when you're redeeming for travel. You can redeem Aventura points at a set value of 1 cent per point against any travel you book outside of the travel portal. So you can just go and book any travel you'd like and then redeem directly against the purchase on the website. Now up until October 31st, 2024, this was actually 1.25 cents per point, which was absolutely stellar value, but unfortunately this is now dropped to just 1 cent per point. The best value for your Aventura points are if you redeem them for travel within the fixed travel portal. You can get up to 2.29 cents per Aventura point here, which is incredible, but of course it's a little bit overstated, as the number of points required will depend on what route you want to fly, where you want to go, and if you can even find some good redemption value here. It's also a little bit tricky because taxes and fees are added on top of that total price, but it's theoretically possible if you find things on the highest end of the price band that end up being in part of the fixed travel band. Lastly, I didn't really know where to put this, but CIBC also lets you redeem your points for CIBC experiences. This is pretty similar to Marriott Bonvoy Moments, where they're pretty much just auctions for some special appearances. I think it's super hard to really assign value here, but if you have a ton of Aventura points saved up, and you want to do something really cool that you wouldn't otherwise be able to redeem for, this is definitely the way to do it. Now, what would we recommend doing with your points? I think it's definitely a bit of a mix here. Although it isn't ideal redeeming for travel at 1 cent per point, it might give you some more flexibility as to what you want to do, as the fixed travel program is really not giving you the options you want. I would of course check the fixed option first and see where your options are really coming out to be through that program. I think getting 1 cent per point should be pretty easy, but there are times where, for example, the airline you want isn't there, or you've already booked your flights with a different program and you just want to redeem your points for a hotel, etc. We understand that as you're going through all the perks and benefits and seeing what you can do with your points, you might be thinking, I kind of like this card, I thought this was the right one for me, but there might be something that just is a little bit better that might align with my spend better. If you're okay with American Express, I'd say the Cobalt, Gold, and Platinum may end up being better options, as you would be getting higher earn rates, more perks, and a points program that has much more flexibility, as you're able to transfer your points out to Air Canada Aeroplan or British Airways Avios, as well as a few other things. RBC's Avion cards are also a pretty decent option here. The earn rates tend to be a little bit weaker, and you don't get those lounge visits unless you get the Visa Infinite Privilege variant of the card, which is going to run you $400 per year. That being said, the points you earn are much more flexible, and you can redeem them outside of the program as well, like transferring them to British Airways Avios, American Airlines, Cathay Pacific, and WestJet. With that, we're going to wrap up today's video. We hope this gave you a better impression on whether you want to get one of these cards or not, or perhaps you want to get one of these alternatives that we suggested a couple of minutes ago. If you did enjoy, be sure to hit the like button, and if you want more content of this, especially some really fun stuff we have coming up for the end of the year, be sure to also hit subscribe. With that, we'll see you next week. Take care.